for those of you folks who don't know, just a show of hands on Twitch and YouTube, just 07s in chat. If you heard about, supported, or show up for the Avengers Squadron charity tournament for Sick Kids Charity, because there's some updates on this. We went to the kids' hospital. We got some professional videographers to come with us. We donated the carts. Me and Crucian went and saw some of the kids. We had an hour, but they took 4. So we set them up, and the kids were having so much fun. We just let them play and play and play, and it was a good time. And I have a picture out front of the hospital. So this is the check for $15,324, and then the 2 go-karts. Well, it was actually 3 go-karts. The third one was sent to the winning team in France. But the 2 go-karts have Xbox Ones, like 25 different games, 4 controllers, the whole setup, the hydraulic rig, all that stuff. And we went to the hospital. We did interviews with the parents, and we got it all recorded and videoed. And for those of you folks who don't know what Sick Kids is, it's a hospital for kids that are going through chemotherapy treatments, all kinds of illnesses, and it's in my local town. So for all you folks out there who help with that project, thank you so much. And we'll be doing another creator invitational tournament this June in 2025 to see if we can raise some more money for Sick Kids Charity.
1 hour later.
Okay, so yeah, so the boys texted me this morning. They said, "Hey man, you need to watch this buckle." Everyone keeps telling me that. I'm just gonna ask you this: am I gonna be upset watching this? People complain that I'm always upset all the time, and it's not the case. I'm not an upset person. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna react to this. So let's just get to it and see what's going on with this here.
Welcome back to the show floor.
The Drake Vulture enjoys a unique place in the galaxy as one of the only widely available vehicles for space salvage on the market today.
Do people have any idea how many Drake Vultures that we have killed and taken in the PU?
AE Show. On today's episode, we explore mastering flight with Rich Tyra, John Crew, and Jared Huckabee. It's Thanksgiving on Earth, so we give thanks to the best ship manufacturer in the verse, Drake.
That's right. Best ship manufacturers, Drake.
I said it, and I meant it. Nobody owns me. It's the IAE Show, and it starts right now.
Okay, we're back. Part 3, final part of our conversation about life of spaceships in StarCitizen, and it's time.
You're making me nervous, Jared.
To address the Idris in the room here.
Time to address the Idris in the room. Oh boy! Woo! Oh, I should get some wine for this. Hey Grogu, get ready, buddy.
Master modes. We'd been talking about master modes for quite some time. We've been building it up as the big savior of the spaceship combat experience.
Yeah, how'd that work out, boys?
It released to mixed reviews.
Mixed reviews? Mixed reviews? I need to get some water. Mixed reviews? Are you kidding me? Sometimes when you have to intake a lot of at once, like you gotta crack your fingers. Get ready.
People are less than for it. We'll just say that.
Less than for it.
Kindly. I want to talk about what our plan is, what our vision is. Where are we going with this? What is the plan moving forward with master modes? And I'm just gonna take off and leave you two here.
Yeah. Okay, I got to give credit where credit's due. That was a good one, Jared. He knows what kind of shitstorm's about to get started. See, there you go. We can improve, right? Jared's humor is slowly getting better over the years, less cringy, more relevant. I like it. Progress. We're getting progress, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Right. I think the big thing around master modes is that it never was designed to be a static piece of development. We always wanted to make sure that we were adding in new systems as they came along that then influenced those design decisions that we made at the time.
That sounds like a whole bunch of fucking techie gobbledygook. Answer the fucking question.
And I think two big pieces of feature work that we're going to be bringing to StarCitizen that's going to have a drastic change on how we implement master modes is going to be crafting and quantum boost. So right now with master modes itself, we have obviously the two master modes, SCM and nav.
And missile mode, and nav mode, and scan mode, and landing mode.
A big thing is that we're going to actually be demoting or converting those modes from master modes to operator modes. What that inherently means is that we're be demoting or converting those modes from master modes to operator modes. Be demoting or converting those modes from master modes to operator modes. What that inherently means is that we're still going to have a mode that is dedicated to fighting and having combat. There is going to be a mode that's dedicated to your quantum. But we're going to be removing some of the fail-safe restrictions, yes, that had when you switch in between these modes. We're going to be moving.
Oh, okay. Okay, all drama aside, this is exactly what I told you guys was going to happen. Like, to a fucking T, right? Now, hold on. They're like, we're taking master modes and we're gonna become less restrictive, and we're gonna demote / we're gonna take these modes and change them. I want to listen to more of this because I think I know where they're going with this.
Moving towards one cohesive speed between all operators.
What?
One cohesive speed. 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 One cohesive speed.
Okay. We had this in the previous flight mode. Do you guys remember? I remember. We all remember. Okay. Here's the tricky part though. We fucking told you this 5 years ago. And then we said, keep working on it, guys. And they told us in the PvP / active pilot community, you guys don't know what you're talking about. We know what's better for the players. We're going to do this, this, and this. You wasted people's money for the better part of 5 years. And now all of a sudden, when it doesn't go your way, you want to back off and say, let's bring everything back to the same speed zone. Let's do this, that, and the other. It's like, on one side, look, and I want to be very, very open and honest with this. I'm very happy that they're starting to realize what we have been telling them for so long. So in that sense, there's progress. But I'm also, personally, I feel so, like, frustrated. It's like, I'm trying to let go of the, like, gargantuously large, like, weight of disappointment that has come from CIG in the last couple of years. Because to me, like, you've gone around in circles, you've wasted everybody's time, and now we're back to square one. And it's like, okay.
Between all operator modes, that speed is going to be more akin to what you'd imagine SCM speeds are now.
Okay, so they're going to combine all the modes so that everything goes into SCM. What SCM mode? Like, are we talking about like afterburner SCM modes, like high 500s, or are we talking about low 200s?
But there's two big, huge caveats that come into that. First off is crafting. So crafting will allow you to upgrade your ship and...
Right, pay to win mechanics.
To tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you want...
Well, hold on, not pay to win mechanics. Items mean more to the fight in the weight ratio. So when I say that, it's crafting, I think, is a good part for the game, but they got to be very careful, because if you make it so that items are much more important than the actual skill set of the players, if you take player agency away and you give it to, you know, oh, I have a level 6 shield and you have a level B shield, so we just win. And that's what you want to avoid.
Want to have combat at higher speeds, if you have a tier 5 ship and you have the best thrusters and you've specialized, you've bought an interceptor ship, that will be more applicable to those types of ships. So that gives people options to choose, like, I want to have this type of gameplay versus this type of gameplay.
Okay, hold on. So he's saying, from how I understand it, is the better components you give to your ship, the higher speeds you're going to get to, blah, 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 up to a certain ceiling, obviously, which just makes it even more lopsided because you're locking flight characteristics. And I want to be very clear here. You are locking flight characteristics behind how much money you've poured into your ship, which is fine to a certain degree. But if you don't solve the geometric problem, like how I had in that last video, like you're only going to complicate something that, like, it's just, okay, sorry. I'll get more complete thoughts once this whole video is over.
Having that cohesive, unified speed, the one thing that we really need to...
Cohesive, unified speed. Yeah, that's what we've been saying for a long time, because the game feels so much better with a cohesive, unified speed, which is what we used to have in the previous flight model, but you guys took it away.
To address.
So what's funny to me is the reason they had before was jousting was the issue and blah, 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 we could do better. Well, you're going to bring a cohesive speed limit back. You're going to create more jousting opportunities. It's just that simple, right?
Is this kind of like nav flight mode that is kind of, it sits in this very odd position in terms of you get out of an LZ and you're flying up to the space station, in atmosphere your speed is really closer to SCM speeds anyway. You're not flying at 1,000 meters a second. You can pick up start a bounty hunter mission now, be sent to another planet, and then the closest quantum point to that POI might be 500 kilometers away. And that means that, as we add more dense POIs, that's going to only exacerbate this situation because we can't have quantum markers everywhere. And when we start to add more space exploration and more missions towards the different guilds that we're operating on, where you're having to go into deep space and go into these large distances, you don't want to be in a position where that's taking such a huge amount of time. We want you to be spending more time doing the mission than flying there.
Okay, that's fair. We all understand and we all know that there needs to be access to higher speeds so we can get around the universe and go to the points of interest that are, interesting to us and do those things. I agree with that. We need some kind of hypercruise type system, right? I don't understand why they don't adopt a system similar to how Elite Dangerous does it, where like you have your speed zone, which is where all the gameplay happens, and then your basically get rid of nav mode. It's such a joke, man. Just get rid of it. It never worked. We tried it back in the day. It's like, it doesn't work. You did it. You wasted our fucking time and money again. And we found out again, nav mode doesn't work. So get rid of it. Stop bringing it back. Stop raising it from the dead like Michael Jackson, hoping it's going to have another Thriller tour. Just get rid of it. Don't let it come back. And then give us a mode like Hypercruise where we go out of that gameplay speed limit. And we're now into like quantum level speeds. Like that's what we want to have. Like travel and gameplay. Those are the only two modes. Gameplay, which is where everything happens, and travel, which is only for travel, end of story. That's what I would do.
This is where Quantum Boost comes in. Now, the way that Quantum Boost works is kind of, it connects your flight speeds to your quantum travel. So quantum travel is for flying millions of kilometers away when you have a specific quantum marker that you're flying towards. Then you've got your flight speeds, which should be, say sub 20 kilometers, where you're flying around, exploring on the planet, or fighting at a POI, or doing a bounty hunting. But anywhere above that, we want to kind of accelerate that process of that navigation. And Quantum Boost goes all the way up to your top speed of SCM, or top speed of our current nav mode, all the way up to essentially a 10th of quantum travel speed.
Okay, so does that mean they're getting rid of nav mode? Right? Does that mean they're going to combine all their modes into flight modes and then have a hypercruise type quantum boost, whatever this game wants to call it? I mean, I'm okay with that. That's a much better design, which is what it's literally what we told CIG like 5 years ago.
You have this spectrum of speeds that allow you to navigate the large spaces in our game, but also then still stay true to some of the intentions that we delivered with master modes.
Master modes we talked a lot about, and the combat side.
Oh, I can feel the backpedal right now, buddy. I can feel it in my soul. I can feel the backpedaling. I can't wait for this.
Broadly staying the same. The nav side, that was the limiting factor. We often said, like, it's too fast, but not fast enough. The amount of times we watch new players go into nav, go towards a station, and then we'd be sat there going, they've not stopped in time. So quantum boost was always supposed to be that bridge gap, and without it, we were left with this sort of nav mode that didn't quite do what we wanted. And it also, because it's quantum and it's creating a bubble around your ship, allows us less friction in the traversal.
Right, that's just gameplay speak for saying how the acceleration is going to work.
Because you go in quantum, you come out of quantum.
It's not a meltdown flat.
You don't have to apply all this G.
It doesn't suck for race. So Cold Seal on S says this is going to suck for racers. If they bring the speeds up to 500-600, which is what I've been always telling CIG, the game feels great at 600 meters per second. That should be where the fastest ships in the game sit. 600, right? If you're running around at 250, man, like the game is so slow and boring. The game feels great at 600. Tune the game for 600 top speeds.
Force. The rules of physics are different because you're not physically hurtling at that speed. You're wrapping a bubble of time and space around yourself.
Yeah, you're talking about yeah.
So you come out.
Star Trek has a quantum bubble, like it's a gravity bubble around it, right?
You can stop dead.
Alcubierre drive, which is actually a NASA drive that's been proposed, is actually theoretically possible given enough energy.
You're not having that expanse moment where you're all being ripped apart from the G-force.
That's a good moment. I'll put it up on stream here after this.
So you see that space station coming towards you, you stop.
The one limitation that we are retaining is the fact that you can't have your quantum drive enabled and also your shields. And ultimately...
Okay, so when he's saying when we go into quantum boost mode, it takes our shields down. Whatever. It's travel mode. I mean, I'm fine with that.
That's a binary decision. Operator modes will start off as the default configuration.
Operator modes, that's what they're going to call it. They just love their fucking terms, eh? This reminds me of like some guy, you know, we've all heard the stories, right? Some guy comes in the company, starts up a program, changes a bunch of names, doesn't really do anything, fucks a bunch of stuff up in the company and then leaves. And then the guy comes in, wants to make it his own, changes a bunch of names. It's like, this is what gives me these kinds of vibes. It's like, you could have spent the last 5 years that you spent on master modes, and you could have kept the old flight model, brought the speeds down to 600, which I told them felt great, and just added quantum boost mode. That's all you had to do. Like, that's it. That's all you had to do. But instead, they wanted to spin around in a circle for years, and then gaslight the community for years, and tell us that, like, it just... Like, I don't know who's making those decisions. Maybe it's Chris, but sometimes you just got to give your fucking head a shake, because this is the kind of stuff that gets out to publications like Polygon and all these other Kotaku and all that stuff. Those publications take those bad news things and they twist it and they make the game look stupid. And so, like, if we just reduce, it's like, not to get political, but sometimes I feel like, you know, you got to go through and be like, what's really necessary here, you know?
Configuration that we've set in terms of the controls, in terms of the MFDs and what you're casting onto your HUD, in terms of your resource network presets. But that doesn't stop you from then going in and customizing it. We're providing an initial, hey, this is what we think is a good default setting. But then it's up to the players then to customize what they want on their cast, what they want on their MFDs, and then
I agree. It would be nice to get the game to a place where when I set up my MFDs, it saves them, because having to set up my MFDs every time I spawn into a ship is frustrating.
And they have options to them, and they shouldn't have this constant.
But I know that's coming, so I'm not mad at them. I know that's coming. It's just, it could come sooner.
Switching modes to gain access to certain operator modes, you know, we're removing some of that friction.
You know what's funny to me? look at this quote.
And they shouldn't have this constant switching modes to gain. And they shouldn't have this constant switching mode.
You guys hear that?
Shouldn't have this constant.
It's the sound of a reckoning, is what that is. It's the sound of a reckoning. That is the sound of two guys that are now starting to realize, oh shit, like the stuff that we thought was going to be the case, and it's just, again, right? I told CIG this 5 years ago. So did a lot of other people in the PvP space. We said, guys, this ain't going to work. People aren't going to like this. Like, it's going to be frustrating. You're adding all these technicalities and barriers to new players. It's not going to onboard people into the game. It's not intuitive. You don't have the sense of speed and energy with flight because you're constantly bumping up on these imaginary speed walls and yada, yada, yada. Why they didn't figure that out 5 years ago and listen to us, I don't know. But they're starting to figure it out. And I told you guys this was going to happen. And that's why I made the videos I do. Because it's like, at some point I kind of gave up. But they seem to be having that kind of come to Jesus moment. No, I don't want to be bigger. So Hagen says you deserve to be bigger, bitter, and smug. No, I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to be smug. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm not really angry at these two guys. Like sometimes I get a little miffed about it, but I'm just happy that finally there's a little bit of a fucking common sense light bulb going on in their brains to go like, damn, maybe we should have listened to our PvP folks. Maybe we should have listened to the folks out there, because when you're a guy like me that plays the game 8 hours a day, 4 hours of it streaming, 4 hours with the team, after many, many, many years, you start to see these trends. You start to know, like, yeah, that feels good. That doesn't feel good. This, that, and the other. And if you take that feedback from the group of folks that play the game on a daily basis, you're going to get a much better form of accurate feedback than some folks that never play the game, who have absolutely no concept of all these problems and aren't going to start to see these problems until years down the road. But at that point, it's too late. Right? It's just, when I see stuff like this and they're kind of admitting, because this, in my opinion, is CIG openly admitting, hey guys, we fucked up. Master Modes was a complete disaster and we're going to change it, right? They can't say that, but they're basically saying that with how they're talking. They're saying we're going to get rid of nav mode. We're going to go to operator modes with a speed between all modes and blah, blah, blah. And that makes me happy, because they're finally starting to realize what we've been saying for so long. So it's only going to result in a much better experience for everybody, including new players and more veteran players. This is really good news, like genuinely really good news.
Switching,
and I don't want to stand here and be like, I fucking told you so. These guys suck, this, that, and the other. Nope, I don't want to be like that. I want to be supportive when they make something, when they come out and they say, hey guys, like, we're starting to get it. I promote that behavior. Thumbs up, 1,000%. Honest to God, right? When you take a step in the right direction, you got to step back and be like, fucking A, boys, good job. So good job. Like, they're finally starting to realize it. Hallelujah. But when you do stupid shit, we're going to call you out on it.
Modes to gain access to certain operator modes, we're
so good on them for figuring it out,
removing some of that friction.
And through all of this, because that binary distinction is between modes, you have to be in this mode or this mode, and there's all these very
even fucking Jared gets it.
Strict rules between those modes. You keep your weapons through all this, so this now becomes a more tactical decision in combat. But if you need that sudden burst of speed, either to get away from something or to catch up to something, you make the choice. You sacrifice your shields, certainly, but you can still bring your weapons to bear and stuff, get there, and the second you're out.
And ultimately, that is underpinned by your resource network engineering. So if you're on a single-seater ship, that's obviously at the pilot's behest. But also if you're on a larger multi-crew ship, You can then use the engineering terminal to be able to have those presets available to you.
And through the use of crafting to improve your components and, of course, your presets and quantum boost, rather, you can get up to speeds that are approaching the current nav speed and stuff like that. So we're not taking that speed away.
Hold on.
You can then use the engineering terminal to be able to have those presets available to you.
And through the use of crafting to improve your components and, of course, your presets and quantum boost, rather, you can get up to speeds that are approaching the current nav speed and stuff like that. So we're not taking that speed away. We're defaulting everything to a speed that is closer to today's SCM. And then giving the player choices in how and when they can get up to that speed without completely disabling everything.
I mean, ultimately, it allows us to keep the kind of the default. We're trying to move towards a balance across the game where you can start off easier and it gets harder. So we want the default to be open and compatible to lots of players, but then as you start to specialize and it becomes hard to master and you start to work in the different avenues of different professions that you like, that's where you can start to customize your ship. And I think...
Okay, so hold on. So if I understand this correctly, Jared said that through components and all this other stuff that you can still get up to those speeds. You might have to turn off all your power and put it all into engines or something. I don't know. But does that mean that like you could be in, like you could get up to 1200 meters per second? Like, because he's saying similar to the old nav speeds. I want to watch that part again.
To move towards a balance across the game where you can start off easier and it gets harder.
And of course your presets. And you can still bring your weapons to bear instead of get there and the second you're out.
And ultimately that is underpinned by your resource network engineering. So if you're on a single-seater ship, that's obviously at the pilot's behest. But also if you're on a larger multi-crew ship, you can then use the engineering terminal to be able to have those presets available to you.
And through the use of crafting to improve your components and, of course, your presets and quantum boost, rather, you can get up to speeds
that's
that
where he
are
loses
approaching
me.
Sudden burst of speed.
If you need that sudden burst of speed,
to get away from something or to catch up to something, you make the choice. You sacrifice your shields, certainly, but you can still bring your weapons to bear instead of get there and the second you're out.
And ultimately, that is underpinned by your resource network engineering. So if you're on a...
So, as far as I understand, he's saying you can still get up to those speeds through engineering, right? Which is good, because if, again, this is a bit gray zone here, right? But they're saying that somehow through the engineering mechanic, you're going to be able to get up to those speeds rather than in the previous modes where you just hit nav mode and off you go, right? So does that mean that we're going to have a power management system come back? I mean, if that's the case, then we have a very, very bright future for StarCitizen, but I'm really hoping they bring some of our speeds back, man.
A single-seater ship,
so he's saying if you're in a single-seater ship, you're going through engineering.
If you're on a larger multi-crew ship,
larger ships
you can
through the
use
engineering
terminal to be able to have those presets available to you.
And through the use of crafting to improve your components and...
Right, so if you have the best components known to man and like the best quality stuff.
Of course, your presets and quantum boost, rather. You can get up to speeds...
But he says and quantum boost, so like is he saying that quantum boost is going to give it like...
approaching the current nav speed and stuff like that. So we're not taking that speed away. We're defaulting everything to a speed that is closer to today's SCM. And then giving the player choices in how and when they can get up to that speed without completely disabling everything.
I mean, ultimately, it allows us to keep the kind of the default. We're trying to move towards a balance across the game where you can start off easier and it gets harder. So we want the default to be open and compatible to lots of players, but then as you start to specialize and it becomes hard to master and you start to work in the different avenues of different professions that you like, that's where you can start to customize your ship. And I think there's a key takeaway or a key point to also make is that if you don't want to craft, if you don't want to go down that route because you just want to shoot ships and be a combat pilot, or you just want to be a miner or a space trucker, there's nothing wrong with that. You can still gain access to this because player trading is going to be something that allows players to gain access to these components and ships without having to go through some of the grind that they have, and obviously they're now reaping the benefits of that. But you have lots of choice.
Obviously, there isn't one prototypical StarCitizen player. Developing a system that's going to please everybody is an impossible task. We can only work towards our goals and our vision for what we want this to be, and hope it applies to as many people as possible.
I agree that you're not going to make everything that people love. Like, that's just the nature of the beast. But I think most of us can agree that if you make bad things and they execute them poorly, like, people are going to get upset. And that has nothing to do with making a system that, you know, to use the excuse, well, not everyone's going to like it. It's like, yeah, well, if you put a 6-week-old burger that's got mold growing on a plate, and then you say, like, well, sorry, I can't make a burger that everybody loves, like, you're the asshole, right? So I feel like Master Modes was that 6-week-old burger that's just been growing mold for God knows how long. And we've been kind of fed it, they've been trying to force feed it to us, and it's just been reacting negatively in everybody's tummies. You know? So
What I like
but they're finally starting to see the light, which is what I'm really happy about
this,
I just wish that they would have listened to us. They would have saved themselves so much time and money.
what I like about this is that you can never go wrong with putting the choice in the player's hands.
Hallelujah! This guy watches my streams or something, man. Good for you, Jared. I'm glad you're seeing it too, buddy.
At any given situation, when you're going to want your
Hallelujah, boys.
speed, when you're going to want your shields, you'll always have your weapons from now on. So like this, just put those choices in the player's hands and let them let them decide for themselves. It's one of those things unique about StarCitizen is that we get to develop this, and then we don't have to wonder. We can put it into players' hands and get that feedback immediately. And
Am I fucking sleeping? Am I dreaming right now? I feel like I'm fucking dreaming right now. I feel like I'm gonna wake up like a bad dream, like and I'll be like, oh. I'll be like, it was all a dream. Nah.
and then take it in. I think there's a real chance for this to be the spaceship experience we've been working towards this whole time.
I think the big thing to take away from all the things that we've discussed is that none of these things are designed or implemented in isolation. And where we're trying to go is like, you know, when we talk about combat that is, say, not as fast as it was in previous updates, hopefully people understand we're doing that not just because we don't like fast combat, it's because we want to give players options to gain fast combat or gain slower combat.
No, you don't. Stop. Bullshit. You did it. You literally guys just said it. Like you're saying, oh, you're watching noobs fly in and then they hit the station. Oh, they didn't turn around. You don't lie to us, man. This is what gets me. It's like you guys were doing so good and now you fucking lost me. Like you did it because too many people were crashing into shit. It was too difficult for the majority of the audience. Just be fucking honest, right? To have some of those speeds come back by just min-maxing and putting tons of power into your engines and blah, blah, blah. That's great, right? But I really believe, man, like the majority of people, and I hate to say it, they're correct. Like to make master mode slower and all that stuff, and their attempts to bring the game down to a closer range, all that stuff, even though executed poorly and doesn't have the effect they want. Too many rookies and too many like newer players were just careening into the sides of stations all the time. So I do agree that they should have brought the speeds down, but don't say you did it because you wanted to lock up behind speed walls and blah, 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 and give player agency. That's not true. That's not true.
Depending on what choices they make with crafting or their purchases, then it's on a scenario where, you know, capital warfare is, you know, you need to be able to use precision targeting, and that's why we developed that feature so that you can have good subcomponent targeting.
I don't like the precision targeting. Does anybody like precision? Just a show of hands. Is anybody big on precision targeting? Because for me, my big gripe about it as a combat pilot is when you go into precision mode, you lose all of your awareness. Like you can't see your MFDs. You don't know if somebody's shooting at you. Like you become like tunnel vision, like literally tunnel vision. And to me, I don't understand. It's not like I could see on a turret, because like a turret, you're kind of tunnel vision anyway. But for fighters to go into precision mode, like we do it in the PU every time, you know. I just wish that like I could turn some kind of overlay, and I guess the best way to put it is an overlay on while I'm flying, that doesn't put me in precision mode, but that it shows where all the components are, you know, when I put my nose onto it, and it allows me as the pilot to just manually drag my pipper on and shoot the target, right? I'm not a big fan of precision mode. And a lot of us, I think, in the PvP space and active combat community are not super big fans of it. I think they can do much better.
And I think when you start to see some of this bigger picture come together, and you start to see all of these individual pieces connect, you might not agree with it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. That's how we're trying to connect all these pieces.
Okay, that's fair. You're allowed to try. I'm not poo-pooing that, or I'm not. And again, just so everyone's aware, this reaction has nothing to do with those two gentlemen personally. Like I said before, this has nothing to do with them as human beings on planet Earth. You know, my criticisms are strictly in the design of these systems and the implementation, and I guess you could say the propaganda that's being pushed out as to the reasons why these decisions are being made, in my personal, and again, this is also just my opinion, so just take it with a grain of salt, but it's been developed over a long time.
Together to create this experience that ultimately Chris is the one that is setting that.
Okay, let's pass the buck off to Chris. Chris fucking Roberts, you listen to me, you son of a gun. You want your fucking Hollywood game to be the greatest thing that's ever happened to, you know, to the United States or the world? These glasses aren't sitting right. You listen here, Chris Roberts, all right? If you want your game to be the greatest, biggest, best space game that's ever been made, including one of the most active, highest population MMOs of all time, you know how you get there, Chris? You listen to your community. They are the ones who will tell you what to do. You know, it's okay to have a vision. It's okay to want to do all that stuff. We love you for it. That's why we gave you $1 billion of our money so that you could make this game. We're all on this ride together. But please listen to us, because we would have saved you 4 years of development with this silly flight system. So you paid all those developers all that time to make a substandard flight system that everybody hated, you know, and it would have completely been avoided, right? So
vision, and we're trying to execute on that vision for Chris, and that is what we're trying to work towards, and hopefully people can start to see some of these pieces connect together and why some of these decisions have been made, and you know, hopefully they enjoy it ultimately at the end of the day.
I hope I enjoy it too.
So Rich, John, thank you so much for taking the time to share this vision of Star Citizen's spaceship gameplay. I think there's no better place to do that than IAE, a celebration of all spacecraft and vehicles in Star Citizen. It's come to my attention that the last two parts, when I've attempted to move us on to our next topic, folks have been changing the channel. So I don't want you to do that here. Up next, I'm going to talk directly with John Crew and explain to him my true vision for the spaceship Jalopy once and for all.
Change the channel.
Hey, hold on. Is that Mr. Bug Hunter? So he's the one behind all the trolling. Okay, it makes sense now.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Are you a DIY security super fan? Have you seen every Garmin Humble live stream and special? Well, you haven't seen this. It's gonna blow your...
Why is this a Deadpool spoof?
Sign up for all the casualties, catches, and kills.
That's literally a Deadpool skit.
Too hot for open comms.
Good for them, though. I like it.
Too intense. Too brutal. Too spicy for Spectrum. When things get dicey.
Even CIG knows that Spectrum is full of fucking soft bobs. Listen to that quote one more time, guys.
For all the casualties, catches, and kills. Too hot for open comms.
Sign up for all the catches, kills. Too spicy.
Too intense. Too brutal. Too spicy for Spectrum.
When things get dicey, go extra spicy.
I like this. Whoever did this skit, give him a fucking raise.
Subscribe now.
Welcome back to another episode of Quantum Questions, where we take a CIG developer, put them on the hot seat, and make them answer as many questions as they can in under 2 minutes. Joining us on the show this week, the happiest person at CIG, Mr. John Crew. John, how you doing?
Oh, let's go
Don't make the fucking Firebird.
for 16.
All right, so let's put 2 minutes on the clock and begin. Who are you and what do you do?
My name's John Crew. I'm the vehicle director at CIG.
You're in a desert walking along in the sand when all of a sudden you look down and you see a tortoise. It's crawling towards you. Why did you nerf the Corsair?
Why did you? Oh, that's funny. Fucking Jared must have taken a comedy class, buddy. Good for him. These jokes are landing, and he never lands jokes. I'm living in a fucking guys. We're living in a simulation, man. The world has gone upside down.
It was massively outperforming all other ships in the game. It had 40% of the kills overall just by its...
Hold up. Massively overperforming the other ships in the game. Mr. John Crew, I can kill, and a lot of people can kill a Corsair with a Pisces. And you're telling me the Corsair is overperforming? I do know what he means, that the Corsair was probably doing too much PvE stuff and killing all the NPCs because it had big guns. But that's not a Corsair problem. That is a flight model problem. Carry on!
So it needed bringing down a touch. The current reduction in its efficiency is not going to be the final way. We want to do a bit more with it.
What's the drama with the Polaris torpedo tubes?
It's not clear that
There's drama with the torpedo tubes?
they actually rotate and feed from the bottom and skirt around the elevator shaft.
Is that what they really do?
That's what they do in the animation.
Where is my Crusader Starliner?
It's going to be after 1.0.
Will you ever make the Rock DS good?
Yes, so we want to enclose both players, whether they're going to be side by side or line astern, still to be decided.
Tell us what one of the ships from the tease at CitizenCon was.
It's a variant of one of the ones we teased last year.
Ooh. What can you tell us about Endeavor modules?
All still planned, but after 1.0.
Oof. Long time.
Why do you hate Drake ships?
I don't hate Drake ships.
Well, why is Drake the best manufacturer?
Drake's a great manufacturer, rugged, industrial, and nicely priced.
And what's the best Drake ship?
The cutter, obviously.
All right, I'll let that one pass.
All right, so today is Drake Day. Why should everyone go get a Drake ship?
Can I ask you a question, Jared?
Sure.
Do you ever feel like you're a soulless marketing puppet?
What? What? What?
What's
Hold up.
Can I ask you a question, Jared?
Sure.
Dude, I had this on fucking retainer for like 10 years, man. God, I waited so long for that punchline. Almost like StarCitizen.
A soulless marketing puppet.
Oh, someone had to say it. John Kerr just became one of my favorite people at CIG. There you go. There you go, John Kerr. I'm as fickle as the rest of them, buddy. I'm having fun. Hope restored. Thanksgiving. They better not be trolling us with this.
What's the deal with the mule?
Mule's still waiting for a little feature to allow you to remotely disconnect items from pilot seat. This is the same thing we need for the Prospector and the Mole as well, to remotely detach the mining sacks.
What's the deal with that double-engine Hornet we saw in the Squadron playthrough?
That's a cool special little variant used by Squadron 42.
What's it called?
It's the F7X.
Ooh. Will that ever come to the persistent universe?
Yep.
It might do.
What about,
Yes, it will.
about the updated Vandal
They're never going to say no to a ship they can sell. You kidding me, boys?
ships from Squadron?
They will as well, but most likely after Squadron ships.
Can you confirm that the Mirai Guardian is coming to Alpha 4.0?
Yes.
Tell us something you're not supposed to tell us.
Ironclad's in production right now.
Why would you make my jalopy? Oh, at a time.
Wait. A jalopy is a dilapidated ship or vehicle that's been left around for many, many years. It most likely does not fly. I hate this man.
A jalopy is a dilapidated old ship or vehicle that has been left to rot for many years. I'm pretty sure that's the Banu Merchantman, guys.
This will be the day. Happy wreck, still covered in dreck, and one you can't buy that won't even fly. Jalopy.
He asks every day. I just say no way. When it's from him, the chances are slim. Truth be told, and I'll tell you why this is not.
Jalopy is bold.
Who wants jalopy? Ugh.
I want jalopy.
I'll take a jalopy.
No one wants this thing but me.
There you go, folks.
Signing off.
Oh my fucking god, boys. I think I just cracked. I've been in hibernation for 10 years. Has StarCitizen finally become good? Are we finally there yet, guys? Is there hope? Are we still in development? What year is it? 2057. Is it out yet? I don't know how I feel about it now. I think we finally have, we just finally have some hope. Some hopium on Thanksgiving. Yes. I'm like equal parts frustrated and pissed off and equal parts happy that it's finally over. And like we're not living in the timeline of depressed A1 playing Star Citizen. Well, I can't say I told you so. Well, I can't say I didn't tell you so because it's exactly what I told you guys would happen, right? But we did it. We did it, boys. We fucking did it. They're starting to figure it out slowly. Every little bit counts, right? So, we're going to be getting some big changes to flight combat. Thank God. They're going to get rid of nav mode, which is a good thing for the game. They're going to bring back the unified speed zones. They still need to address the geometric issue with the game. And no amount of energy management and control is going to make that big of an impact, in my opinion. And I am genuinely, and I mean this with all sincerity, I'm genuinely happy with the folks at SIG for finally being like, hey, let's figure it out, right? Like I said, I wish they would have, listened to us a couple years ago. But at least they figured it out. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, like I said before, it's like having a friend who's like an alcoholic, and every year you're like, man, you got to get off the alcohol, you got to get off the alcohol, until finally, you know, you basically walk away from them for a bit, and then they get their act together. Like CIG is finally waking up from their drunken stupor and starting to realize, starting to, you know, wipe the sleep from their eye and go like, shit, you know, we're starting to figure it out. So I'm happy, boys. I'm very happy. It's Thanksgiving for all you folks out there. You know, if you're in the United States, happy Thanksgiving.